Hey folks, Rich here from Broken Arrow, and I'm with Jay. How are you, mate?
Good.
So today's a pretty special day for you. New toy day.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't happen often enough at our age, that's for sure.
That's right.
All right, so mate, you've obviously made some quite particular decisions in setting up a brand new bow for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you mind telling the audience and me a little bit about what you've chosen as your chosen bow?
Yeah, all right. You're right saying it's a tough decision. There's a lot of good brands of bows out there, lots of different
Lots
types
of variables.
bows and variables, and but I guess you start off with your basics with your draw length and your draw weight.
Sure.
And just go from there.
And I guess the type of bow, you definitely are a target shooter rather than ever going to consider a hunting bow.
Yeah.
So what makes this bow more appropriate for target archery rather than, say, a hunter's bow?
Oh, okay. Well, the basic difference between target bow and hunting bow is the axle to axle length. So from this axle up here down to here.
Right.
Target bows are generally longer.
Yeah.
So it just makes them a bit more stable to hold, less movement this way.
Right.
Hunters need a shorter bow so that if they're out in the woods and that, they don't want to be carrying this big 40-inch long bow ducking under branches of trees and all that sort of thing. So they'll generally shoot something around 30 inches, so 10 inches shorter.
Yeah, well that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This bow's sort of midway between them.
Yep.
It's kind of.
Tell me, what was the brand? What did you decide on?
Oh, Mathews.
Yeah, Mathews, you're a Mathews man for
yeah,
sure.
I've been shooting Mathews bows for years.
And in competition
in
too,
competition,
Jay.
yeah. And I guess I'm a bit different. Most people will shoot a longer axle to axle bow. I've always liked shorter bows. I guess because I'm a bit stocky, I have shorter arms than most people. I guess the feel of it for me is what it's about. The longer bows I just find a bit cumbersome to use.
Right. And what model?
This one's a Halon X.
Halon X.
So as some of our viewers know, I shot competitively about 12 years ago. Was my last probably competitive round, and then I'd stopped doing archery for that period of time, and we've just come back into it because we've bought Broken Arrow.
And this is the actual bow?
One of my bows, yeah.
That's
the bow I shot at the World Championships.
Gosh, still a nice looking bow, isn't
no
it?
stabiliser on it, of course, but yeah, it's still a nice looking bow. That's about probably a 2004 model switchback.
Right. Well, I notice there's a few things that look fairly similar. You've kept a very similar sighting setup and your armrest.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
Go through a few of those things.
I've just basically taken I had two bows, a switchback and an LX, which is very similar to this. So I've taken all the gear off the LX and put that on this bow. So the same old sights, the old Copper John sight.
Yep.
You can't buy these anymore. Copper John's still around, but they generally make hunting sights, 5-pin, 3-pin sights.
Right.
They don't do target sights anymore.
And that has an optical magnifier in the scope itself?
Yep. So I've got a 6-power lens in there.
Right.
So ideal for target, like when you're no good for hunting. Like if you're say in close range of a big boar or something like that, and you're using a 6-power scope, all you're going to see is brown. You don't have any idea of where to aim on the brown. But for a target, you just want to find the middle of the yellow.
And I notice there's a few adjustment wheels. Are they like for quick adjustments while you're on range? Is that what they're for? Or?
Yes and no. Once you get sighted in, you don't really want to touch that.
Yeah.
Like, I've got it set up for 18 metres here for our indoor range, and I might move some slight adjustments every now and again just for tuning sort of thing. But this is really designed for a target thing. What I'll do is if I was shooting an outdoor target game where I was shooting like I used to, 90 metres, 70 metres, 50 metres, 30 metres, I can just say, I have a measurement on here and I can just slide that down, just press the button, slide that down to where my 90 metre sight is, and I can do this precisely. There's a centimetre scale and millimetre scale on the side of there, and these adjustments are tenths of millimetres. So
so like a fine shoot.
So I can dial in my 90 metre sight to exactly where I want. And next time I go somewhere, if I've shot 50 metres and then I want to go back to 90 metres, I can put it back to exactly the same
spot.
point.
Yeah, right. And then what about, I notice there's a left and a right adjustment too. Is that for wind?
Yeah, that's called the windage adjustment.
Right.
Yep. So you can, if you're shooting outdoors mainly and you've got a constant breeze that's blowing at, say 5 knots or whatever it might be.
Yep.
It's pushing your arrows to the right. You can just dial that out so then your arrows come back to the centre.
Great. Now, I noticed that your arrow rest looks very similar, but you've gone for a newer one there. What brand did you go for?
Oh, Spot Hog.
Spot Hog?
So I
Good
shoot,
gear?
yeah. It's all micro adjustable, all that sort of stuff. Put an Allen key in there and turn it, and it adjusts as you turn it. So, you know, it's not like you're loosing it off and bumping it across. As you loosen it, it adjusts across.
Sure. So that type of arrow rest you're using, like, I use a whisker biscuit on mine, and I guess, look, I'm only learning, and it gives me great confidence to know that that arrow is not going to move.
Yeah.
Is it just, just practice that gets you used to using an arrow rest like that? Because there's not a lot of room for error,
There's a springy rest, a lizard tongue rest. So the arrows sit on this rest, and it's just a flexible piece of metal. So when you draw that back, they are prone to, if you draw it too roughly, bouncing off this rest. But you get used to that smooth draw, and the arrows just slide it on down. What happens is once they launch there, any pressure like a Fletcher's hitting or something like that, it's not going to deflect the arrow at all. I'll just breeze across there and go straight. Yeah.
Got it.
So I would have used my old rest, the lizard tongue, like we did off my LX, but I found the new bows have got thicker risers. They're obviously make them a lot stronger and differently nowadays. So it's got a thicker riser, and I put the rest on there, and I had no adjustment left. Basically, it was too close to the riser, so I had to go and buy a new one. But I've gone with the same sort of setup. That's what I always like shooting. Yeah,
looks great, mate.
Yeah.
Just while we're on your bow, those type of cams, is this a new technology? I know these are more of a circular cam. That's more of a more an oblong type of cam.
This is what they call a solo cam setup, which Mathews is famous for in this sort of era. So it's one cam and a round wheel at the top. Works very well. Problem that what's happened nowadays is that a lot of the bow companies are trying to overcome is cam lean.
Right.
Because you have to, as you can probably see on that angle there, you have your bow string and then your cables. Your cables have to be pulled out of the way so that you've got clearance for your arrows. So every bow's the same there.
Yeah.
So what Mathews done is set up, I don't know what this is called, a mini cross-centric cam. And I don't know what they call the setup, but basically all the weight's pulled down evenly of the cam, so you'll get no cam lean.
Right.
If, like that solo cam, all that pressure of the cables being pulled to one side will make this cam eventually pull over.
Maybe distort the limbs over time?
It can do that,
Can do that.
Yeah, so they've tried to keep it so the weight is pulled pretty much straight down, so it keeps the limbs nice and square, the cam nice and square.
Yeah.
So everything rolls nice and true.
I noticed that this is something that's on your old bow as well. Mathews don't just use
like a cable slide, basically.
Yeah.
They have these rollers in there. Again, I don't know what they call them, but it's a roller cable guide setup, so it'll keep the cables rolling. Because when you draw this back, one of the cable goes down and one goes upwards as the cams roll over, so it just keeps them all in the same position. And when you release, they're not flapping around.
Sure, I believe they call that nice dead in the hand feeling, so you don't get that vibration coming through.
No vibration.
And I can imagine, like on my bow, I simply just have a rod there that they wear against, and that is definitely a part of friction and where that wears. So there's probably longevity built into the bow there as well.
Hey, the ones on that setup there have been on it since new, and oh man, I don't know, I think tens of thousands of arrows shot out of those cables, and they're still fine.
Makes a difference, hey?
Yeah.
It definitely does make a difference.
Yeah.
All right, mate, now I can't ignore this stabiliser on the front here. Tell me, what's the purpose of that for the uninitiated?
Okay, how do I explain this? Can you imagine, say, a tightrope walker?
Yes.
Remember you always seen them, they used to have the big long bars with the weights on them?
Sure.
It's for stability, so all that, I've got a bit of weight on the front out of there, so when I hold the bow up and as I shoot, it's harder for me to turn that bow, like torque the bow. Without that stabiliser on there, I could twist this bow really easily. But because all that weight's out the front, you've got to actually be able to move that momentum, so it makes you be able to aim a whole lot steadier.
Right.
Yeah,
nice.
And that's something that's different too, is the rear bar. It's a new thing for me. One thing I noticed stepping up, coming back to archery and been trying out lots of people's bows, everyone's like, here, try this one. So I found that all heavier, much heavier than what I used to shoot.
Is that right?
And I don't know whether it's, and I'm learning, I guess. I put this sidebar on. Everybody's running these days, like a V bar or a rear bar, with weight on the back. again, it all just helps you keep a nice steady aiming spot, balances the bow up in your hand so that, you know, it's nice and evenly balanced, it's not tipping forwards or backwards, and yeah, helps you aim and shoot truer, I guess.
Terrific, mate.
It's just advancements in technology, I guess, and people trying different things, that everybody ends up arriving at the same point and doing a similar thing.
Terrific. Have you got it tuned in yet?
Oh, I've spent a fair bit of time with it. It's getting close. It's going to take more time, of course.
Sure.
Having been away from archery for so long, I always used to shoot 60 pound, the limit for feeder archery. But now, you know, 10, 12 years away from it, I'm shooting about 50 pound. My game is indoor archery, as you know.
Sure.
And I'm trying out some nice big thick arrows with heavy points, but I find they're not grouping as well as my old hunting arrows. So, and I think that's due to the poundage. Once I get a bit more stronger and a bit of bow fitness, this will go back up to 60 pound, and I think those arrows will work really well.
They'll work well.
Yeah.
Well, mate, it's certainly a lovely bit of kit. I'm glad you're happy with it.
Yeah.
How about if we have a few shots with it? You mind showing the audience? Let's have a few shots. All right, great.
Let's do it.
Yeah, mate. Well, that's a pretty tight group. That's pretty impressive, eh?
Yeah.
So, mate, I guess like that's a lot of that's got to do with practice, right? To get like that.
Yeah. I mean, I used to basically do this as my second living.
Yeah, right.
I was spending 40 hours a week working, 40 hours a week shooting, basically, and because I've had dreams and aspirations, and
sure.
I guess I'm the same now. Ultimately, I probably want to go and shoot Vegas next year, which is a year away.
Oh, that'd be great, mate.
I've got to, get them in that little circle on the small spots.
Well, you're not that far off, brother. You're not that far off, mate. But I guess, look, coming into the shop here, Broken Arrow Archery, that's what it's all about. We're gonna ask you, what are you going to intend to use your
what do you
bow
want to
for?
do? Do you want to hunt? Do you want to do 3D, AVA, targets? Everybody's got their different things that they want to do and enjoy and things. So,
and we're going to help you out, make sure you get the right gear that fits you, and hopefully this is what happens for your archery. It starts heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Jay. Lovely.
Thanks, Rich.
Yeah, nice new toy. We'll see you folks again later.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.